Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an ancient blueprint, one that maps out a progressive spiritual journey. And it all comes from this concept of the three veils of the tabernacle.
So let's just start with a feeling I bet you've had. Have you ever felt like there's more to your spiritual life? Like there's some deeper reality that's just almost within reach, but it feels like it's hidden, maybe behind some kind of veil?
Well, that feeling connects directly to the ancient tabernacle of Moses. Believe it or not, inside it, there were literally three physical veils, three big curtains that separated people from the full presence of God. Each curtain you passed through meant you were getting one step closer. So here's how we're going to break this down. We'll look at the journey through the veils, then the first step, Passover, the second step, Pentecost, and the final step, Tabernacles. And then we'll wrap it up by figuring out how to map your own journey today. The idea is to use this ancient map to understand not just history, but maybe where we are right now. All right, let's get right into it. A journey through veils, understanding the from glory to glory progression. A lot of people think that having a spiritual awakening is like a one-and-done kind of thing. But if you look at the Bible, it's actually described as a journey, a progression, a constant moving forward. And this is where the Apostle Paul's words really hit home. He says that when someone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. And then we are transformed from glory to glory. See? It's not just one veil. It's a process. It's about moving through different stages, each one bringing you closer and giving you a deeper understanding. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. The first step, Passover, which is all about entering the outer court. This is where the journey kicks off, at that very first veil, and it lines up perfectly with the historical event of Passover. Think of this as your first real step of faith. So check this out. This is how the physical journey mirrors the spiritual one. You've got Israel leaving Egypt. That's the break with the old life, right? Then they cross the Red Sea, which is like a total cleansing, just like the laver or the washing basin in the tabernacle. And finally, offering sacrifices at the brazen altar. That symbolizes a whole new relationship with God. When you put it all together, these actions in the outer court are what define that first huge milestone, justification by faith. All right, moving on to step 2, Pentecost, and entering the holy place. Now, the journey really starts to build here as we get to the second veil. And this one is about more than just being rescued from something. It's about being invited into something much, much deeper. This is what's called sanctification. It's about building a relationship where you actually start hearing God's voice for yourself. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the contrast here. On the one hand, you have Israel at Sinai. They were so afraid that they literally told Moses, hey, you go talk to God for us. We don't want to hear from him directly or we'll die. They basically stopped right at that second veil. But then, fast forward hundreds of years to Pentecost. What happens? The early church does the exact opposite. They push right through that barrier and step into a whole new level of direct communion with God. And that moment, that Pentecost experience, it established something absolutely revolutionary. The idea of the priesthood of all believers. What does that mean? It means every single person, you, me, everyone, now has the right to step into that symbolic holy place, to hear God's voice for themselves. No more middleman needed. It's a total game changer. And, the source material points out that any religious system today that tries to put a barrier back up, that tells you that you can't have that direct access, well, it's kind of like they're trying to sew that veil right back together, making the same mistake Israel did at Sinai. Okay, and that brings us to the final step, Tabernacles. We're now approaching the most holy place. This is it, the last stop. We're standing at the threshold of the final destination, right before that third and final veil. This is the curtain that separates the holy place from the most holy place, and it represents the ultimate hope, what the scriptures call glorification. Historically, this final stage lines up with Israel finally getting to enter the Promised Land. But for us, spiritually, it's something that's still in the future. It's about a complete return to God's presence, something described as the redemption of our body. It's really about getting back that full inheritance, everything that was lost way back when. And listen, even someone like the Apostle Paul, who had some absolutely incredible spiritual experiences, he admitted this was still a future hope for him. He put it this way, "For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face." He was saying our understanding right now is incomplete, kind of like looking at a fuzzy reflection. But he was holding on to that hope for a day when we would see clearly, face to face, and know completely. And there's this really fascinating parallel that gets drawn here. You know how Israel wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, right? Well, the source material suggests that the church has been in its own long period of wandering, a sort of Pentecostal age of preparation. And get this, it's measured symbolically as 40 jubilees. A jubilee is a 50-year cycle, so we're talking about a long, long time. But it's all seen as leading up to that appointed time for the final step into the promise. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's all about the difference in access. Think about it. Back in the day, the high priest was the only one who could go into the most holy place, and he could only do it once a year for just a little while. It was super temporary, super restricted. But the future hope, what lies beyond that final veil, it's a permanent, face-to-face encounter with God. Not just for a moment, but forever. So, why does any of this ancient history and symbolism matter to you and me? That's a fair question. It matters because this map, it wasn't just for them. It's for us. It's for mapping out our own spiritual journey, right here, right now. Let's break it down one more time. This whole thing is a 3-step progression. Step 1, justification. That's your Passover moment, when you leave the old world behind. Step 2, sanctification. That's the Pentecost experience, where you're learning to hear God's voice for yourself. And step 3, glorification. That's the hope of Tabernacles, pressing on toward that future reality of being in God's full presence. And if there's one thing to really take away from all this, it's this. The goal isn't just to be saved from Egypt. I mean, that's huge, but it's really just the starting line. The real point of the journey is to keep moving forward, to enter into the full inheritance of the promised land that's waiting for you. So I'll leave you with this to think about. When you look at this ancient map, with its 3 stages, justification, sanctification, and glorification, where are you? Which veil are you approaching today on your own spiritual journey?